All right, folks. The way I was able to read the situations and know what was going to happen, it's not because I have some superpower to read the future. Okay? Because if you look at all of the stuff that I was able to predict was going to happen and its likelihood, you'll notice that there's other things that could have also happened that I spoke about. Other possibilities based on likelihood, based on statistics in a lot of situations, based on the state of mind of the people around you, based on the bias, based on the things that they're taught. Now, one thing that I noticed about women is they're men with vaginas. One thing I noticed about men is that men are women with penises. We're really not that different. Where we are different is in how we are taught. We are taught differently. We're taught that we're supposed to treat each other differently. We're supposed to treat girls and boys differently. It's stupid. Like when dad tells you you're not supposed to ever disrespect or hit a woman, but he's always calling your mom all them names and he's smacking her around. Or he's one of those guys who thinks that if he holds her down and screams in her face, it's okay because, well, he didn't hit her. And it's terrible. With the things that the police were going to do, I knew what they were going to do because I know their fucking protocol. And even when they said that's not what they were going to do, they followed their protocol, lied to me out their asses, and did exactly what they said they weren't going to do. I already knew how homeless people are treated from years of being homeless myself and having so many other people that I know who have been homeless or who currently are. I know that most of us grew up in foster care. We grew up in group homes or foster homes or the juvenile penal system or juvenile hospitals. There's also a surprising number of people who were adopted who end up homeless. The situation with the police, knowing what their protocol is towards somebody who's mentally ill nationwide. Also, knowing what their protocol is when you try to turn them in and you're by yourself nationwide. Knowing how easy it is for them to get away with turning off their body cam, making it their word versus yours. And who's going to listen to you? You're mentally ill. That's why you need somebody there in person. And I haven't had that. I had a lot of people who swore up and down they were gonna and promised, and all they did was ride the clock until my resources were gone. Resources that I needed to take care of myself. Month after month after month after month, with it being dragged out, with my predators still playing head games with me, with me still trying to find a safe place to live. I was forced into homelessness when Natalie was killed. One of the biggest lies that they tell children in the system is that, well, they'll have rights as soon as they turn 18. But then when you turn 18, you're homeless. You don't have an ID. You don't have a driver's license. You don't have a vehicle. You ain't got jack shit. I've been told that now there's programs to help kids get out of that so that when they turn 18, everything's all set up for them. Well, guess what? That wasn't there when I was a kid. And the first thing that starts happening to you is, well, first of all, you're a criminal just because you're homeless. If you need to sleep, if you need to go to the bathroom, you can never just stop and rest. You got to buy something, even if you don't have any money. Otherwise, you're loitering pretty much anywhere you go. You go to a park that's public and people treat you like you're some sort of a creeper there to stare at their kids. Like, no, this is a public park. I'm here because I'm hoping that the cops aren't going to fuck with me here. Inevitably, they always do. See, Americans don't want to see poverty. They know it exists, they just don't want to see it. It interferes with their girlfriend's Gucci bag. It doesn't fit her Prada backpack. I know a lot of women who basically live off of men, but then those type of men have expectations of you, and you don't want to follow their expectations, but you expect them to follow your expectations. And then you say you don't need a man, and then you're in love in another week, week and a half. You got a different boyfriend, and you're absolutely head over heels over him. You got another place to stay. Well, congratulations. And a lot of y'all say things like, don't judge. You know what? Being aware of a situation is not the same as passing judgment on someone. If someone is a drug addict, they're a drug addict. That's not passing judgment on them. That's just a part of being aware of your fucking surroundings. If someone is on drugs, that's not saying they're a bad person. I know lots of people who use drugs that are not horrible people. Although honestly, most of the people that I know that do drugs, it steals their soul. I don't mean in a mythical way, I mean in a metaphoric way. A lot of my loved ones are dead. A lot of people made bad assumptions where my predators kept at it. They kept at it, making sure that my ability to contact people was cut off, my ability to have access to the evidence and a place where I could sit down, go through it, and show it to who it needed to be shown to. Instead of helping me to show the evidence that I needed to the law enforcement that I needed to show it to, I had the opposite of help in doing that. Every step of the way, people lying to me, telling me that they're gonna, telling me that they're gonna. Ultimately, it took me breaking the law for people to understand that this situation is still going on. That shouldn't have been the only thing that fucking worked, but it was. And although I'm the only one who got in trouble, the fact is that I'm denied my rights as an American citizen because they call me mentally ill. And then they deny me the rights of a disabled person because I am intelligent and because I'm an adult. I shut down when I'm overwhelmed. I try not to, but life happens. Now, with the lady that I came up here to help, I kind of get the feeling that she's possibly going to break the law a whole bunch even more, even though there's somebody here who's willing to help her and work with her. I don't think she's quite getting that. She still hasn't filled me in on what's exactly going on. She's filled me in on quite a bit, but there's also a lot of stuff that she sends me that she wants me to read, and I do read a lot of it, but I really need her to sit down and explain to me and, you know, put it all together and make sense of it for me. I mean, she knows these people in these situations, and she's doing stuff that I'm definitely not allowed to do. If I do those things, I get in trouble on Facebook or YouTube. I don't know why she's getting away with it, but then again, she's constantly on Facebook bans, so maybe she's not getting away with it all the time. But other people on Facebook did those things to me, and Facebook thought it was magically okay for them. They've also changed the algorithms. A lot of people right at the very beginning just wanted to call everything that I posted spam. It wasn't spam. None of it was spam. But because so many people hated me over what was on the news, they went through my evidence and had a lot of it destroyed by having a whole bunch of people from these Natalie Bollinger groups getting on there and calling it spam. And none of my quote unquote friends gave a shit. They didn't want to understand how important it was. It wasn't happening to them, and the stuff that had happened to them was fucking scary already. Anybody that was helping me right at the very beginning was fucking threatened, harassed, or fucking assaulted. In many of those situations by the police. And the police told all these people, according to them, and the recording I have here from people like Aaron Cockerham and Cara Rogers, conversations with them are on my YouTube channel. The things that they said that they tried to do, but neither one of them could remember the name of the officer that they spoke to. Neither one of them actually went in with somebody else to make sure that report was made. None of them had any proof that they made any effort towards that. Also, both of those women were threatening to fucking kill each other. And folks thought that just pretending it didn't happen was going to fucking fix everything. No, it makes you a fucking target when that shit happens. When you are never allowed to defend yourself. When you're never allowed to show evidence. When someone went in with me, things were different. Only just slightly. That only just slightly was in the behavior of those in the criminal justice system. Those being public pretenders, lawyers, judges, and of course, law enforcement, like the police and the sheriff's departments. When you're disabled, you have to have someone act as family. Department of Health and Human Services isn't going to do their job unless I have a family member who actually gives a shit enough to actually do something. And if you guys have seen the stuff between me and my sister, she's scared. She is scared. And it's all magically okay. I have to be afraid to go to the police. I have to be afraid because the police have been my predators. The police that I have to go to about my little sister being harassed and threatened. Those officers are the same predators I'm trying to turn in. And you have seen how trying to turn in the other crimes that have been committed against me. You have seen how that turns out. Having to turn in these criminals to other people. Dual County Sheriff's Department, all of those deputies and the sheriff already knew that I was trying to take them to court, that I was trying to have them arrested for the crimes that they committed, forcing me to go to those people about the other crimes that were committed against me when they had repeatedly not done their job before, is just inhumane. And for turning in my predators, for trying to turn in my predators, I was sent to prison to prevent me from turning in my predators. Meanwhile, I could prove that my predators fucking lied. All of them. But my public pretender wouldn't do shit. They held me as long as they could and outright lied about me every step of the way to get people to do horrible things. Scott DaCosta lied to these people and told them that I was schizophrenic. He got what he wanted. Leslie Snell got what she wanted. These people are predators. They abused their positions and their power in a predatory way. Predatory towards a disabled person. And there's no public outcry. These people who claim that they were my friends, who just looked the other way until all my resources were gone. That wasn't help. I needed their voices, but they're all cowards. All of them. And while I had to think about all of their safety, each and every one of those people who knew what was going on, they wanted to be friends with my predators because we had mutual friends. Me and my predators in many of these situations had mutual friends. But who are you going to stay friends with? The person who's there? Or the Sean who has to move all over the place all the fucking time for his own goddamn safety and for the safety of his fucking evidence? A lot of people are dead. When I say speak out, I see all these web sleuth motherfuckers who wanted to send me friend invites and say they wanted to help, and then there were just a whole bunch of I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorries. Or I can't do nothing, or, over and over again, the same shit. But then I see with all of these situations that are popular, like Gabby Petito. See, that was the situation with me. I was cut off from being able to show the truth when people actually gave a shit. But they were able to prevent me from speaking to the people that I needed to communicate with the people that I needed to be able to go through the evidence that I needed to and to send it to who it needed to go to. At the very beginning, all of those things were cut off from me. My ability to travel. And I was always on my own. Whenever I had to go do the things that needed to get done, I had to go by myself. Without somebody there to bear witness, and without the ability to record it because I needed to be able to show the evidence that was on my phone. "5 years of this, I have lost every aspect of my life. I have had so much evidence stolen. I have had so many supposed friends throw me away like I am fucking trash. And they all want to play the same fucking victim card. I'm not the one who victimized them. I told the truth. If the things that they told me were not the truth, they should not have told me those things. If those things were the truth, whether they were or not, those did affect my decisions. My decisions were always based on the safety of others. When people call me selfless, no, I'm not. I do think about myself. But I think about others too. When people say I'm selfish because I told the truth, that's not selfish. Your solution to this is for me to remain a victim, to be perpetually victimized for the rest of my life because it's magically okay, even though it's illegal as fuck? It doesn't matter if it's illegal if the general public doesn't give a shit. If your own family doesn't give a shit, and how the fuck are a bunch of child molesters and druggies gonna give a shit about anybody but themselves? Those are the most selfish groups that you're ever gonna find. Child molesters and addicts. When that's who you're related to, like me, or like Natalie Bollinger, or like Seth Franco. Seth Franco is dead too, by the way. Suicide. Natalie Bollinger attempted suicide multiple times. She died of assisted suicide. They're able to abuse jurisdiction to prevent me from turning them in. Jurisdiction only counts when it's against you. This stuff is federal and it needed to be turned in federally, but they wouldn't take it. I was told to turn it into the Nebraska State Patrol. They wouldn't take it. For years, literally years, having to turn in Scott DaCosta to Scott DaCosta himself. That how the fuck do they think that's supposed to work? That's like, let's say John raped Amy. These are two fictional people. Let's say John raped Amy. And Amy called up 911 and said, hey, I need to turn in John. He raped me. And they say, all right, well, you have to turn that into John. How is that supposed to work? People are dead because the cops did not want to do their jobs. And instead of face the music, they committed felony after felony after felony so themselves and their fellow officers could be absolved of all their wrongdoings. Rather than helping me, people didn't want to understand. They wanted to tell me to do things that either A, I'm not capable of doing, or B, I'm not allowed to do for myself. Meanwhile, all of them have resources that I don't. All of them. The ones who win their situations, because most of us are fucked. Most of us are thrown away on bullshit charges. But the ones who fight the charges and win are the ones who have family on their side. There was a guy from Ithaca, and some of y'all from New York, you know where Ithaca is. It's a college town. Ah, fuck it. You know what? I don't want to tell any more stories. I really don't. And I was told, don't call them stories because then it makes it sound like fiction. No. A true story is a true story, but it's still a story. That doesn't make it fiction. Calling somebody mentally ill takes away their rights. My friend from Ithaca, New York, when he had legal issues in Colorado, well, his dad was a lawyer, so I mean, that did help out a lot. But he was homeless in Boulder, Colorado. At least when I first met him. But when he got into legal problems over bullshit that didn't even happen, yeah, his dad was there for him. The cops were not expecting that. They didn't think that some gutter punk out on the streets would ever come from a good family, because it's pretty rare. I mean, we do get a lot of people who come from decent families, but they don't come from decent money. They're not out on the streets to party. They're on the streets by choice. They're out on the streets because they got nowhere else to go. I am disabled only when it benefits my predators. I am intelligent only when it benefits my predators. That's how the courts play it. That's how my predators play it. I needed my friends to speak up the way they spoke up for Elijah McClain or for George Floyd. How they were sharing that shit every day. They were speaking out every day. They were saying something or showing something. And you know what's fucked up about that? These people all know me. They didn't know George Floyd. Elijah McClain was killed because I was not heard. Literally. If I had been heard after what I was put through by Waylon Lowattai and also by Clearview Behavioral Health, something could have been done to prevent Elijah McClain from being murdered in the way that he was. The way that he was murdered, the police did the same thing to me. Clearview did the same thing to me. This is their protocol, people. That's what you're not getting. It's their protocol. It's their protocol. They know their protocol kills people, but it covers their asses. Who cares if it kills 1 or 2 people as long as they get away with 60 or 70 bullshit fucking cases first? Long as they get away with locking up 60 or 70 homeless people long term for bullshit fucking charges, then it's fine if they kill people once in a while, isn't it? As long as they get 60 or 70 people who try to turn them in put in prison so they can't turn those officers in, then it's fine if a few of those people die from being injected with those drugs or from being made a target the way that I was. Who cares, right? I mean, sure, it's illegal, and it's even more illegal because I'm disabled, but who cares, right? Y'all keep going after the, well, you have a penis thing. Oh, sorry, you're a man thing. I am not a big man. I'm not twice the strength of hardly any of the women that I know. There are, matter of fact, right now, a lot of women that I know, probably most of the women I know, are way stronger than me. But it wasn't about what was legal, was it? It was about people's opinions, like the opinion that because I'm a dude, despite my disabilities, I must be twice as strong as any woman out there. Roar. I must be a violent person because I have a beard, because I'm going bald. It's complete and total fucking insanity. Just like the people who wanted to offer to help, and then they post up all of this stuff about Gabby Petito for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Nothing about me, though. One lady, she was fucking messaging me for weeks on end. I'm like, you haven't spoken up once. What good are you going to do me? You're not even willing to speak up. Finally, she shared one thing that was completely unrelated. And she's like, see, I shared something like you asked me to. I'm like, holy fuck. By the way, I blocked that lady. And it was actually a couple of weeks after that situation because, like, here I am going, you know what? There is a possibility she is seriously that fucking stupid. Is it possible that all of America is that stupid? I mean, I can understand most of my supposed friends because they're drug addicts or alcoholics, most of them. They're people who are on the fringes of society, the people that you guys don't want in your society. Same place as homeless people. Same place as disabled people who have disabilities you don't want to even try to understand. So people who are autistic or people who have Tourette syndrome, they end up with, well, drug dealers and drug addicts who are their friends. And sure, we get taken advantage of a shit ton because a lot of times those people are only our friends until we run out of some way for them to get their drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. Because they're always trying to sell me stuff, They always want to sell me something like, hey, man, I got this CD player. I'm like, I don't even know anybody who's got CDs anymore, but thank you for the offer. And when they get desperate and rip you off, you remember it. You chalk it up to lesson learned, but at the same time, those drug dealers are your protection and your safety most of the time. Because you're good to those drug dealers or those drug addicts or those alcoholics. If somebody fucks with you in front of them, they're going to speak up. Not in this situation, though. Maddie Boa knew the right lies to tell. People say, if you hadn't reacted the way that you did, you know what? The way that I did react at the very beginning was the right way to react. I started off by trying to get help stopping the abuse. That's how I started off. I went to the people who started the rumors and they wouldn't do anything about it. I went to the police. I went to my friends. Nobody gave a shit. They all blew me off with those pretty words. Those words that, by the way, you are taught and trained as a mental health professional not to say and not to do. Those are exactly the wrong things to say. And there are reasons why. I mean, a lot of times you guys say things that you say them because you're expected to say them. It's a pretty meme that everybody says at a funeral, so you're supposed to say it, and it doesn't help. I mean, when you explain that, it makes it worse, and the 30th time you've heard it, it's just, please stop. When you tell people who have been victimized, who are trying to turn in their predators, when you tell them to let it go, what you are telling them is that you are okay with that kind of abuse. You are okay with people doing that to your supposed friend. And that you are okay with that person doing it to others, possibly even yourself. Because it's just not that important. Now, once it does happen to you, when it does happen to you, you do care. Your solution isn't to let it go. Which is what you tell me.